In this video I'm going to show you how to choose face covering and face protection when you're out in extremely cold and windy conditions. That way you can stay warm, prevent frostbite, and keep yourself from getting injured. I've got several different combinations in this video that I'm going to show you that I've used in all sorts of different areas. Full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. I bought these products all with my own money, so you can get a better sense that this is completely honest in what I've done. Also, before I go on, in my book Adventure Expedition 1, Antarctic Tears or books, and Lost in Windy Corner, I talk about all these different products and how to choose them, especially in Adventure Expedition 1, and why you may or may not want them. The first, and maybe not so obvious, is actually my sun brim hat. This is from Colombia, but I've actually used this hat as face protection because I can actually pull this down, and with my jacket on I can actually cover up part of my face, and by creating this hood action with this hat, it actually works incredibly well. Now it looks a little bit dorky, but when I tie this down with this little band here, and I get it down and kind of mess with it, it actually does a really good job, because the goal here is to protect my face, and by creating a little bit of a tunnel that prevents wind from coming in and burning my face. The second option of facial protection is actually a headband. This is a very old REI windproof fleece headband. I've used this and had this for about 25 years, and this actually does very well. Now you might say, hey, that's not protecting your face. Hang on. But what happens in here is this headband combined with my windproof fleece hat that I have, that was also an old an REI product, is what I do is I put my windproof fleece hat here, and then I put my headband just like this, and now I've got great protection, because my jacket, when I zip my jacket up, I can actually hide my face just like this. And I'll tell you what mountain I use this whole system on in a minute, but I can actually do very well and have a very versatile setup. So if I'm too hot, I can just pull that down, or oh, my nose and cheeks are getting a little burned, I can pull this back up, or if it's getting really bad, I can actually spin this around so it's a lot thicker. And this gives me a lot of versatility that a regular balaclava does not give, because I can still keep my neck open and keep myself cool. So even though it looks a little bit dorky, like a ninja who couldn't afford the ninja mask, this actually works incredibly well. It's just this windproof fleece headband combined with a windproof fleece hat. That is an excellent option. I've used this in Greenland, Denali, Antarctica, Yellowstone in the winter, in the Arctic, everywhere, Kilimanjaro. This combination has served me super well. Now the next option that you can look at is using a buff. This is a very popular item with a lot of people. I have several different versions. I've got the official Buff brand buff here. I'll put links below to all these items. But a buff does incredibly well because it's highly versatile. You can put it up so it just protects your mouth and nose just like this. Or if you're having trouble breathing, what I've done is you actually take your buff and put it like this, and you make a little bit of a, I would say, an old lady hood, if you will, but you know what you see older women wear. But by creating this, I actually do a little bit of a wind cut effect. Now the problem is it tends to choke me out, so I don't use this option as much. But what I can do is just kind of pull this up on my chin, and this works incredibly well. And if it's really bad, I can just pull this forward, and it does super well. Now if I'm getting driving wind, this is going to flap and kind of drive me nuts, but it actually works quite well. Now the next step up on that would be either the Super Buff by Smart Wool here. This thing is crazy thick. It's double buff, and I can do the same thing here. It's got twice a layer. It's wool, so it does incredibly well. And it's actually easier to breathe than the standard buff. Now, if the weather's really bad, I can use this as my breathable buff and then put the other buff on top of my head and just make a little porthole so I can see where I'm going and do quite well here. Now, if I need to step up from that, the next option is the Polar Extreme Cold buff. This thing, what it has is it has a thicker fleece bottom and then the classic ultra thin buff material up top. So I can actually put this on, kind of choke myself out on it because it's so big, and put this up and you can see that I can completely protect my neck now like a balaclava. And that gives me a lot of versatility and warmth, and if it's really cold, I can pull this guy up and with a little bit of fiddling do incredibly well. Pull this down and again protect my head. But again, this maneuver kind of chokes me out, so I don't use that often, but I've used this particular buff on Kilimanjaro. I piled this on and it's worked pretty well. Again, at the end of this video, I'll show you my complete Kilimanjaro face protection rig for when the wind was blowing and it was quite miserable. The next step up is, let's see if we can find it here, is a standard fleece balaclava. A standard fleece balaclava, I don't even know if this has a brand name on it, but whatever the case is, it's worked incredibly well. And what a balaclava is you put this hood on and it has a built-in neck, so instead of just like a regular headband or hat, it protects your neck and keeps you incredibly warm. And they usually have little draw cords that you can draw down. But I can open this up to protect my face, but you can see here I can still breathe, because with the regular buff, when it's pressed against your face, it's really hard to breathe. And when you're in a high mountain, not being able to breathe is irritating. So this polar fleece type buff is incredibly good. The next step up is this outdoor research hood. It's a completely different fabric. It is not fleece, and it has a tearaway face here that I'll show you. So you can actually wear it open. You look like one of those old school medieval guys. And then it has a neck protector that you can swoop around. Oh no, I'm not making it look super sexy here. And then if it's really bad, you can peel this around and kind of build up your system with this outdoor research balaclava. Now, is it a little bit awkward and everything in the Velcro? Yeah, it's not totally awesome, but it is highly versatile, which if you have to go with one piece, is super good. So this actually works incredibly well. It doesn't cover the neck as much as my standard fleece balaclava, but it does a good job. Now, my ultimate answer for what extreme conditions I've been in, and again, check it out in my book, Adventure Expedition 1 and Antarctic Tears, wait for it, is the Cold Avenger. The Cold Avenger is my final best answer for extreme cold conditions, because this thing has a high performance fleece with a removable, I haven't removed this in 2 years, so hopefully it doesn't tear, but a removable complete mask, so you can use this as a standard balaclava. But then, this is the coup de grace, the French may say, this mask here, you put this on, this mask is silicone rubber and it has breathing portholes all around it. Now, as you can see, I've actually put that on upside down because the breathing portholes are supposed to go down in the label. So you put this on here, you stretch it back here, and the reason I love this so much is this silicone, it doesn't ice up, and if it does, it doesn't get ice inside of it. If it does, the ice begins falling down here. All I gotta do is take it off, crack it, and put it back in. This originally had foam liners to protect your nose, but over 90 days of use, they kind of tore out, so I just got rid of them. But this here is, easy to breathe in. I have no breathing restriction. Well, not you know, a few percent. But this mask works incredibly well. I use it in Antarctica and I have no problems breathing. Even towing 300 pounds, super easy to do. Now it's an incredible system. Now at the end of the video I'm going to tell you the big problem with all of this and the only one way to get out of it. But now I'm going to give you what I promised is my hat system and face protection system for what I used on Kilimanjaro. I had a custom hat knit for me, and then I had my, let's see, put it on here, I have my windproof fleece headband that I would put on, usually under this hat. And then I had my windproof fleece hat on top of that. And then I had my polar fleece buff on top of that. And that was exactly enough to keep me warm when I needed to, but the moment I overheated, I could pull this down. But on top of that, I actually had, I might as well put it on, I actually had my buff around my neck because you have to walk so slow, it was cold. So I had that there, and then I put my fleece headband back on. And this is where I have to walk super slow. I can't get out of walking slow, but it's super cold and you can't speed up because it's too high. And then I've got my hat on here, just a different layering combination. And then my fleece balaclava on top of that. And as I got too hot, I could simply pull this down, cool down a bit. And then, oh, I'm getting too cold, I put it back up. And I can control my temperature with this entire head and face protection system by simply pulling this up or pulling my buff or my smart wool, and if it's too cold again I can layer up, and that warmth over my mouth actually makes it so I can overheat super fast. Oh, too hot. Cool down, another 10 minutes of hiking. Oh, a little chilly, and I move back up. So that is incredibly functional, like, almost like a helmet worth of warmth. But that combined with my shell jacket made for a great face protection. Now, here's the one kicker. You wear all of this stuff, but just like with any face mask, when you have your mask on, if you're going to have glasses and goggles, which you most likely will have, the number one problem with this entire setup is your goggles will fog up super quick. So what you can do is glue or tape a bunch of fleece on here to prevent the warm air from your mouth rising and fogging your goggles. But now I'm going to tell you the absolute trick to preventing fogging your goggles and your glasses is you have to stay cool and almost cold when you're traveling. I know that's counterintuitive, but the only way I've ever found, and I've talked to other people about this too, is that if you don't want your goggles fogging up, you gotta stay cold. Right now I'm steamy, and if I start working out, my goggles will completely fog up. No matter what face and head protection system you have, if you don't stay annoyingly cool so you can adjust your temperature by cranking up your speed a bit, is your goggles are going to fog up no matter what you do and put on there. So the best way to prevent these goggles from fogging up is to stay cool. My name is Linsdau. I'm a polar explorer and professional adventurer. Please like and comment on the video and subscribe to the channel. Links below to all the items here. I hope you've had this, found this video very helpful. Again, check out the link to Adventure Expedition 1. It's not just for expeditioners, but adventure trekkers all around the world. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy your exploration.